This is a warm water discharge lake. It's fall-time bass fishing. It's middle of November. Water temps are mid-60s right now, which is just about prime time. It just starts getting good. Fish start coming out of their deep water haunts, moving up into the shallows, chasing bait fish. They're just basically gorging before they know that the winter's coming, and they're just trying to eat as much as they can right now. So basically this is the best time. You don't have to get up early this time of year. The water's just cool in the morning. It warms up in the afternoon. So no reason to get up absolutely at the crack of dawn. These fish are going to feed pretty much all day till a couple hours before sunset this time of year. So, and the bite gets better as the day goes on. So hopefully today we'll throw some reaction baits and see how it goes. I enjoy Sooner Lake for a lot of reasons. I think Sooner Lake has a lot of diverse fish in it as far as size of fish. That's what probably one of the biggest draws to Sooner Lake. I mean, anytime you can catch a 12-pounder when you go out, I mean, who doesn't want to do that in northern Oklahoma? I mean, there's 30+ pound strength 5-fish limits that come out of Sooner Lake at least a couple times a year. So, I mean, that's a huge draw to that lake. Basically, we're fishing a point right here, and it's just a little point with some flats in the back there. These fish kind of use this as kind of a moving up point. It's got some deep water we're setting in here, but it's also got a little lip and a ledge up there. Wind blowing into it. This lake got some coontail, some duckweed in it over the last couple years, and it's really helped the population of the bass, the size, the bait fish. Just, it's really good for a healthy fishery. This is probably one of the better kept secret lakes. It doesn't look like much, but it's got some really quality fish in it. In the fall time, these fish are, the majority of the fish are moving from that deeper water up into that shallow water. They're following the food source. The shad are moving up in that backwater with the cooler water, and the fish are also following a lot of that cooler water back there. It's about 10 foot right here. Water's about 65 degrees. Now this is the warm water side of the lake, what they call the warm water side. So basically those stacks over there, that's what they generate electricity with. It's got some turbines that heat a lot of water, pumps a lot of warm water into this lake. There's one, finally. Just a little guy, but it's a start. Little feisty sucker. I started off with a crankbait, and that's an amazing fall bait. That should be, it's a search bait. You can cover a lot of water really quick with it. This time of year, a lot of the fish are feeding on the shad. The shad are moving up shallow, they're dying off. It's just, they're stocking up for the winter time. Basically, we're just covering a lot of water right now with a crankbait. It's a really good search bait in the fall time. Really a good silent body that doesn't have a lot of rattle to it. These fish key on that. This one here is a handmade bait from a guy in Tennessee. It's just a really good balsa bait. Doesn't have any rattles, totally silent. Just a really, really good search bait in the fall time when the water hits that mid-60 temp and on down into the 50s. These fish right now seem to be relating to a lot of the grass up there that's in that 8 to 1 foot range. And they'll set in the middle of it or on the outside edge of it. So the closer you get to the grass edge, the more bites you'll get. So we'll kind of ease in here a little bit. This is some of that coontail I was talking about. Still green right now, even though the water's in the 60s, but that's just really good for a healthy fish environment. I think that's one of the big draws to a lot of really good bass fisheries is a good grass source. that helps with water clarity, helps with your bait fish population, and it also, Sooner's a great example of it. You know, it's a thriving bass, big bass population in it. So Sooner's really come into its own the last couple years. It seems to be getting more and more of this grass in it, which is good. There's actually a couple pockets with lily pads in it, which is pretty rare and unique for northern Oklahoma and lakes up there. So, I mean, it's just a fun lake all around. Oh, that's a good one there. Just a little guy. Thought he was better than that. Kind of throw a buzzbait. A buzzbait's another great search tool this time of year. These fish haven't seen a lot. They've been out deep. They haven't seen a lot of noisy surface lures, so they kind of want to attack it. And so this little slick water right here, the wind's kind of pushing around the point. There's some grass. I kind of want to stay up above the grass. I can't get my crankbait through it, so let's see if we can get something to come up on a buzzbait. This one right here, I've drilled holes in the blade to get a bubble trail behind it. The blade, I like to make sure it hits either the wire or the head to make an extra clack. This grommet on the back here, what I like to do is I like to crimp that on the wire, and what it does is it holds that grommet or that rivet in place so that once that metal on metal contact, it actually squeals. And you want that squeal. Second that I like to comb around with, that's good on windy days, you get a little bit of current, you get a little bit of chop on the water, is a spinnerbait. Basically, it's just a small school of shad going through the water. So this one right here, it's a double willow. This is kind of that bait fish profile. Good for just, you know, all around semi-clear water. Now the last one I want to talk about is a crankbait. This is probably one of my favorite fall time baits, and it's really easy to, on choosing a crankbait, you kind of want to work with the water temperature on which crankbait you select. When fall first time hits, you're looking for a little fatter bait, something a little wider with a little bit more wobble. So this is in, say, 70-degree water temperature. The next one that I like to go down to when it hits, you know, the low 60s is just a little bit thinner. See how that's got a little bit thinner on the sides? You're getting a little bit tighter wobble on it. And then once the water gets below 60 into that mid 50s range, even up into the upper 40s, a flat-sided crankbait. They want something that's got a real tight wiggle to it. So that's how you select a crankbait, the shape of the crankbait based on water temperature. So let's talk about what type of crankbait. There's so many out there. This time of year, the best producer that's probably going to get you a lot of bites, that's not to say that you can't catch them on other ones. A lot of guys and a lot of the pros, you're going to look at a balsa crankbait. It's basically, it doesn't have any rattles to it. It's silent. This one's handmade. There's a bunch on the market. But if you look for a wood crankbait, something that's wooden, something that doesn't have any rattles to it, something that's got a little square bill to it, that's what you're looking for this time of year. And it's just a search bait. You're just covering a lot of water with it. Oh, golly. Ah! Can't buy a break. They're not committed. Oh, there he is. Oh, there, look at these ones. He's not very big, but he's fun. He's a little guy, but he got hooked up. He's just a little guy. Wait till we get a big one. Ugh. He finally ate it. He wasn't scared. And Sooners diverse is that it really doesn't have a water source, any creeks or any true water source like a normal body of water has. So basically it's just a big giant pond into a lake. So, but the only thing that separates Sooner is that it has a warm water discharge to it. So you can make your own creeks, I guess you could say, on Sooner by moving around and following water change that's actually man-made water change. So if you come to Sooner Lake, this is what they call the warm water discharge side. And the water comes from that power plant over there. It filters through it, and then they discharge the warm water out of it, and it wraps around coming back this way. And there's another rock wall over there, and that's called the inlet. And the water, they'll actually pull water from that side. And it'll have another buoy line similar to this one that keeps you from, a 1/4 mile from getting too close to the plant. You're fine, Bubba. He's just a little guy, a little scrapper. On a buzzbait. Probably one of the best fall-time topwater bites for big bites too. This water here, it's 73 degrees, and we just drove less than a mile on the warm water side, so you can tell how much just that little bit of distance the water temp changes. Some of the advantages to fall time fishing is you get a great topwater bite. A lot of the bass are shallow, they're easier to catch. You get a lot of that cooler weather. It's easier on the anglers to fish in cooler weather. And a lot of the time the recreational pleasure boaters aren't out on the water. And I've gone out to Grand Lake or Lake Eufaula in December, had pretty much the whole lake to myself where I didn't see a lot of boats. About the only thing that limits you is, what kind of weather elements you can handle. If you can handle the cold fronts and whatnot, then that's, even better for you. So, but hopefully you gained a few tips today from this little outing, and hopefully it helps improve your odds for fall time fishing. Even though we didn't do great today, it's hit and miss this time of year. So good luck, and thanks for tuning in.